the guru of Squad Double Zero, the assassin like no other. Yes, I'm the best at what I do, one of the most notorious in YouTube anime manga community. Don't download for me. Please just don't do it. It's true. Yes, I'm back, and this is not Magic City. Look, if you rap hip hop fan, you already know Jeezy, Young Jeezy. Let's get it, keep it real. New background, it is what I is. It is what it is. Same as ever. I'm the same me. Ain't nothing changed, but maybe getting a bit better and evolving, developing. The thing is, though, new background. It doesn't really matter. Does it? Does it? We in here for an interesting video. Something I've been thinking about doing for a long while. And got reminded of me. Something I said to Captain Charles, Anime World, leader Squad Double Zero. Found the Squad Double Zero universe. That's how he talks. And I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and do this video for real though, cause it's been a lot of people got some things confused about me. Okay, I'm critical, yes. I also give a lot of hype and praise. If you ever see my channel, you ever see any videos, you know how I get down. I'm also very critical for a lot of reasons, because especially when you have potential and talent. Yeah, I made a video about makes good protagonists. I've mentioned some of these characters in here, if I'm not mistaken, or at least one of them. I've talked about, made another video about female characters. And look, I love phenomenal, badass female characters. I love when they're well done, well executed. And the thing about it is, oh shoot, I need to doggone probably change my list. I know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be a tie. There's gonna be a tie for number 10. That's what it is. But anyways, back to what I was saying. Yeah, man, I love it when they're well done. And see, phenomenal female characters. See, guys are a little bit different. I'm not saying all guys gotta be, you know, you're a tough guy, da da da. But for females specifically, you have to be more realistic. You have to not only deal with the emotions, you got to deal with the psychology. And look, males and females know that women all over the place. Females all over the place. It's the truth. Not knocking it, but that's the reality of the situation we deal with. So for that being said, it's more imperative. You can't make generic female characters. It doesn't work, or it comes off as not even cliche. It just comes off as bad writing. You can't make bland female characters. There are not that many females in fiction to begin with. Yes, I know there are a lot of presented, I mean actual prominent female characters for a lot of reasons. It's easier to write guys. It's easier to write males. You could say the target audience in some cases is male, but there's a target audience for female characters, for females. But here's the interesting thing. I know this is a side note or whatever, but you gotta understand the background behind this. Shows like Sons of Anarchy, okay? Revolution, yeah, I would add in that. The Blacklist. Shoot, you can say Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones. It goes on and on. You could also do movies. Those shows I picked out because even though in a lot of ways Revolution is a little bit, you know, depending on the specific episode, but I know SOA, The Blacklist, Game of Thrones. Okay, you can say Gotham, Arrow, and then there's others, more male-centric. They're male-oriented. They're clearly meant for males. But at the same time, you have a boatload of a female audience. You look at shonen, anime, and manga. It is male-oriented, specifically, you know, 12 to 18 teen males. Now, there's older dudes, you know, a lot of people watching. But that's the biggest genre. Females get into it. Some may argue they get into it more than even shoujo, which is more targeted. Josei, which is more targeted towards a female audience. Why is that? Because of all the characteristics. Yeah, there's some attraction issues, but that's not even it. Or attraction factors, but that's not even it. There's a lot of qualities about males. They're just easier to write. A lot of times better characters. Just so much can go down with males. With females, it takes more delicacy. So you're not going to unfortunately, you're not coming across as many good female characters because it takes time and detail and real effort. You can just scribble something up and say, boom. We got characters, oh, it's a toss away, whatever. He's just another guy, whatever. With females, does not work that way. Okay, there are commonalities, but not as many as with guys. That's just the reality situation. Hold on, let me write this down because I added in a character. Yeah, look, it is what it is. Okay, I do what I do on my channel. Y'all know I do it in depth. In fact, actually, this list wasn't too hard for me to come up with, but at the same time, it does take thought. I mean, there's so many honorable mentions one could have on this list. And again, one last time for this. This is my favorite, okay? Doesn't mean these are the best female characters in fiction. I'm not making that claim. Some of these you can possibly make that claim for. But that doesn't mean they're the greatest female characters. Some of these, yeah. Some of these may even be some of the greatest characters in fiction history. But at the same time, as well as memorable with some of these. And some of these are some of the most legendary, iconic characters. Factual. People would say, well, you do just, some of these aren't big time characters. But it's not a shocker why some of these characters have such legendary memories. And I didn't mean to go this long with this introduction. But since I don't really talk about this kind of subject too often or do too many lists, and since it's been a while, you know, since I really done videos, I thought it would be proper. All right, beginning at number 10, without further ado, I mentioned a tie, and y'all look. I don't like ties, but sometimes in these kind of lists, there's just gotta be a tie. This isn't my formal, you know, if I had to break it down, full-blown analysis, but it's a favorites list, man. So, you know, let a little leeway go in that, if you will. The first person I mentioned, okay, in my top 10, actually goes back to drama. And no, let me tell him keep it drama free. Not that Chris Brown, Chris Breezy drama we talking about, okay? Not deuces. We talking about drama as far as in a literary thing, okay? We're talking about a literary genre, specifically in theater, okay? We're going back to Greek drama. And if I'm not mistaken, it was a tragedy. It was definitely a tragedy. It wasn't a comedy. It was more of a split back in the day, back in ancient times, when they were writing this. And it is none other than the protagonist of this specific... No, not even the protagonist. The name, the title character wasn't the protagonist. The title character was actually the antagonist of this. And I'll explain that in a bit. It is Antigone. Now, some of y'all brothers and sisters be like, what is he spelling? Did he just say something wrong? Antigone. Or is it spelled Antigone? Antigone. Antigone. Phenomenal. And it's not too long. Okay? It's not too long if you ever read it. You may have read it in high school. Had an English teacher. If it was a good English teacher, you had you read this. This is phenomenal writing. Okay? This is short, sweet, simple. With as far as a female character, this is how you do it, man. If you want a short version, this is how you do it with Antigone. Now, the protagonist was King Creon, her uncle. And, like, the events prior to it, I'll give a little synopsis of the story. The events prior to it was, I think his brothers fought and killed or something. He becomes the King of Thieves. I forget, it's been a few years, several years since I read it. Anyways, he becomes King of Thieves. And, oh, no. Antigone's brothers were the ones that duked it out in battle for the throne with some Game of Thrones status. Seriously. And so, what we have here is she disobeys his law, okay, his decree or whatever, about not burying their bodies, which she found defilement to the law, the sacred, you know, rights and laws and commandments of the gods, okay? And so, she go ahead and do it. She goes ahead and does it. And he's pissed. He's trying to find it out. Either the fact her best friend or sister, I forget who she was, tried to lie for her, something like say, let me do. And Antigone's like, no. It was a rebel. It was a rebel spirit. But it wasn't just rebellion. It was standing upon principles. This is a strong young woman who was ready to die. She was honest. She didn't take no kind of shortcuts. She like, look, man. Look, this need to be done. This is why I need to do it. You wrong, King. I don't care what you say. I don't care if my reputation, my image, my legacy are thrown out the window. I don't even care about my life. Some things are more important than living. Now think about that. Some things are more important than this mortal frame. Because, think about this like this. At one point, we're going to die. Okay? Unless there's some rapture situation going down. At one point, you're going to die. That's the reality of the situation. You're born to die. You're born dying. Okay? Death is simply the termination of life. Whatever you conceive life to be, I'm not even going to get into that. But that's the reality. And so, at least in this physical mortal frame, the physical mortal realm. And so Antigone, she stood for something great. As short as it is, and it forced a play of hand on King Creon, and the way he did it was dirty. I'm not going to spoil it, but the way he did it was really dirty. Even dirtier than Cask of Amontillado. If you know Edgar Allan Poe's thing. It was dirty, man. It was really dirty. And the repercussions of what happened, man. But Antigone, man, that's still stuck in my memory. That younger, and at first, when I first read it, I was like, it was nice. But when I sat down and thought about it over the years, and more stuff happened in my life, and meeting more people, very few people stand up like that. Where she was willing to go full blown alone, bro. Look, it's easier to go when you got some folk riding and dying with you, okay? But when you gon' go against everything by yourself, no support, and that same sister who was ready to lie, she doggone was like trying to advise. Everybody was advising against it. Everybody was advising against it. And there's more to it, but go ahead and read the story. It's been long enough. But Antigone definitely gets this. And the reason I say it's slash, because I had to get this phenomenal female character, which I mentioned previously, prior to this, in different videos. Okay, she definitely deserves in the top 10. I talk about her enough. And it is Aizawa Mai from that Holy Land greatness, the manga known as Holy Land, the seinen masterpiece, Aizawa Mai, Aizawa Masaki's sister. Now, she starts off as a minor character. I think she becomes a secondary character as the series progresses, as the story progresses. And I won't spoil it. Her relationship with the protagonist, Kamishiro Yu, is one of the most imperative and important relationships in the series. The thing about Mai, man, why she's so phenomenal, I won't spoil the backstory with her and her brother. That's some heavy hitting. Oh my gosh, bro. Oh my gosh, that's some heavy hitting stuff, man. That's hardcore. It's not that it's so uncommon, but just the way that it goes down with Misaki, and then the way she's there. This woman, this female, this young lady becoming a young woman is ride or die. She's a ride or die chick for real. She's about that life. Not throwing hands wise. She don't throw hands. But she's about that life. She also, what almost happens to her near the end of the series. Crazy, bro. Crazy. Is real, man. This young is real. Let me just put it that way. It's real. Very realistic. Okay. Very mature material, to say the least. But how she leads the other females, how she's a friend, a true friend in the realest sense that you can get. She's a counselor. She doesn't even understand necessarily her brother or you, but the way she interacts with them, it just it's unbelievable. Even Yu's best friend knows how good she is. And the thing is, at the beginning of the story, it seems like she seems like one of those that, it have nothing to do with you. Kind of, the perceiving factors, the way the forces were working, it would seem like she's going to be stuck up or something. But no, she's nothing like that, okay? Oh my gosh, she's just so well written. Without spoiling it, I'm just telling you, check out Holy Land. If for nothing else, Aizawa Mai. So Antigone and Aizawa Mai now, on two different things. Both actually, neither of them were in the series too much, or had too much, time in the story. But both made a phenomenal, important impact to where both actually end up changing the protagonist by their actions, by their living, and in the case of Antigone, by her death. Now, moving on. Number 9. I know a lot of guys, come on, especially if you grew up in the 90s. This woman here was one of the, and still with comics, one of the sexiest women of all time. One of the sexiest female characters in all fiction history. Not just sexy because of body type, okay? Not physical trait. Just the way she carries herself. The way she presents herself. Her thoughts. And there's a rivalry going on. And I'll explain this and why I think she honestly beats out the other one. Okay? But without further ado, Black Cat. Okay? Felicia. It's been a while, but oh my goodness, Hardy? Felicia Hardy, I think her name was, if I remember correctly. Spider-Man the animated series specifically. Yo, she changed so much. I mean, she was okay. She wasn't nothing. It was as herself. But when she became the Black Cat, oh my god, yo, badass, or pretty damn close anyway. She's one of those female characters that may be badass. She presented this, not this like bridge between Amazonian and just this, not even like, yeah, athletic, but it wasn't even that athleticism. It was just like this bridge, like this beautiful, seemingly perfect hybrid synthesis of the Amazonian and this very feminine, womanly kind of thing. Her interactions with Peter Parker, Spider-Man, Spider-Man Peter Parker, were just outstanding. Some of the best in the series, to be honest with you. And I mean, you look at it, she embodied so much of what femininity is. From, you have the girly girl aspect to the, tomboyish aspect, to the sensual, sexual side, to the very graceful, beautiful side, to the very intimate side. Okay? She embodied so much of what guys are attracted to when it comes to female, from a broad spectrum. And the way she carried herself, pretty much solo dolo, but yet at the same time she was willing to cooperate and work. But then she lived that edgy kind of lifestyle, to where her morality, for me, is still very much a question. I don't know where she stands, which is always intriguing and fascinating when it comes to fictional characters. Now, when it comes to actual people, that's a completely, people out here you deal with on the daily. That's a problem. But when it comes to fictional characters, those kind of questions are important because it allows for phenomenal characterization, phenomenal potentially character development. Black Cat, man, and the rival we're talking about that she's obviously from the DC universe. From the Marvel universe, excuse me. The rival I'm talking about, if you know, obviously from the DC universe, Catwoman, Selina Kyle. Catwoman, I'm not gonna say she's a knockoff. Obviously, she's not. I forget who even comes first. The thing about Catwoman as compared to Black Cat is that Catwoman, like, she tried, from my perspective, too much to manipulate situations, too much to manipulate Batman, Bruce Wayne. I really like what they're doing with Gotham, though. The series Gotham, and the way that they're having it with Selina Kyle. But she came off as it was too forceful. Whereas in Black Cat, she could be minor, secondary, or even a protagonist, and it all flowed beautifully because she was the same. She was the same person, and it melded well with Peter Parker. She could be in. She's one of those. When I say the same person, no matter what series you put her in, she's gonna be the same and stand out, even if she ain't even in there for that long. That's how well done, well constructed of a character she is. Moving on to another one on the sexiest all time list, another Marvel Universe phenomenal female character, another legendary one. Okay, we're talking an X-Men. Okay, and when you're talking X-Men, there many can think of. They'll think of Storm, they'll think of Psylocke, they'll think of Jean Grey, Emma White, even though she wasn't technically on the X-Men at times. It's confusing with Emma White, but yeah, there's a lot of attractive female characters. But to me, she's arguably the most physically attractive, sexiest female character in actually fiction history. It's a legitimate argument. Now, Black Cat's up there too. Don't get it twisted. But this one here, and then what she has to go through, I'll get into that in a second. It's none other than Rogue. Maria, I forget her last name. Yo, Rogue, man. First of all, the premise of her whole situation, she can't touch. Now, a lot of romantic sensuality, sexuality, one can argue, is the intimacy of touch. Imagine this. If you touch somebody, you could possibly kill them. And in her case, she actually did. You could not only that, you could drain away and you could take their powers. You could, and with her situation, might not be able to control it. Just that alone sets up for a phenomenal thing. Premise, a lot of times, are great setups. Now, with that, it's not just that. It's not just her powers. Along with the powers, which in a lot of cases with a lot of the X-Men, okay, comes control. But in difference from a lot of the female characters, how can she truly control that? It's almost one of those things. It's a blessing and curse. For in battle, it's that way. It's a double-edged sword. It's sometimes a catch-22. She can't truly become intimate with, let's just say, Gambit. Or let's just say Wolverine, a.k.a. Logan, a.k.a. James Howlett. Or whoever her lover truly is. Or she has to be very careful. Or imagine the thing of, and let's keep it real and mature, sex. If she wants it, how does she have it? I mean, she can, but there's a potential she could kill the dude. I mean, Wolverine's a little bit of a special case, but still, it's dangerous. She would have to find literally the perfect person in which she could be with, which is disheartening in of itself, because it's always hard as hell to find, you know, someone who really you rock with. In the case of her, a good man, you know. So there's that. Rogue's character, man, over the years has morphed to such a great degree, and she's one of the few characters, probably, or several characters, that I'm fine with the external forces influencing her, because she's a special case. She's a freak of nature, you can argue, okay? And when you're a freak of nature, things don't rock well, okay? Look at it, the Brotherhood of Mutants. When you also look at Magneto, Eric, I forget his last name, you have Mystique, I mean, you have the X-Men, Charles Xavier, you know, her dealings with different individuals. She's thrown into the midst of all of this. And I don't think she technically ever chose a side or could choose a side, because neither group, as diverse and as principled as they were, could ever truly fill that void, could ever truly be family to her, if you really think about it, because she doesn't belong. She's just one of those people who don't truly have a belonging. She always has to be concerned about how close she gets to an individual, how she acts, how she perceives. Not only that, she's became ridiculously strong because of her absorption of what's her face, Miss Marvel. So now she's ridiculous. So she's another one, like Black Cat, who's like a hybrid between the Amazonian and the kind of, you know, feminine kind of jazz. She gave off that tomboy. I mean, especially in the X-Men animated series of the 90s. Oh, the way she talked was hilarious. I love the way she talked, the witty and sarcastic at times and whatnot. But yeah, man, Rogue is she's just so well done. And unlike Black Cat, who's just, you know, the character itself, Rogue, because of the premise setup, in a lot of ways similar to the Incredible Hulk, Dr. Bruce Banner, where she has to learn to control this stuff. It is essential, and if she doesn't, there are some serious repercussions, not only to herself, but to everyone around her. That's crazy. Not many people deal with that kind of stuff. Moving on. Number 7. Another one who's on the all-time attractive, sexiest list of female characters in comics and whatnot. Okay, as well as in fiction history. Another one who kind of broke the mold in a lot of different ways. Another one who revealed a different side of attraction to guys. Specifically at a time where, except for some stuff, and hint, with the last Soul Truth, okay? Except for a few things, but guys are attracted to it nonetheless. And it shows that guys don't just want this weak-willed, just this doormat of a female. Unless there's some who are into dominance, and it gets. I'm not gonna even deal with that because it gets very dicey when you start talking like that. But it's none other than Wonder Woman, Diana, the princess of the Amazons. Now she embodies the Amazonian, but at the same time she doesn't. It's really, really weird. Okay, she is one of those, you could argue, the perfect female. Perfect female. This woman here, man. This woman here presented, and I didn't even recognize at the time. And it wasn't even, this is before when I was young and wasn't even thinking about physical attraction. I'm talking like 4 or 5 years old. Always was attracted to the character of Wonder Woman as much as, or pretty close to, let's say, Batman and Superman, Green Lantern, Flash, or whatever. She stood out. Not because she was one, I didn't even recognize, like, obviously she was a woman. Okay, obviously she was a female, but I didn't even think about that because she was just that woman, man. She was just that character, just that person. Her presence alone, she changed things. She knew when to act, she knew when not to act. She had intelligence, she had wisdom, she had discretion, okay? She was, and the fact is that she barely wore anything. I doesn't even register, She just embodied such an iconic pillar of the Justice League, okay? Of whatever group she was in. She was always go-to. She was always down. She could throw hands when it was required. But, she didn't, try to overuse her sexuality, her sensuality. She didn't do that. She lived in a man's world, which is in itself very realistic. For a lot of, at least y'all young women, a lot of young ladies, from the feedback from what I get from my talks and discussions and all this and that. And so, here is a young woman, and eventually she becomes, a bit older. But here's a young woman living in the man's world, in an abnormal man's world, man. Might I add you that with all these superhumans. I mean, she was superhuman herself, but still, she was a trailblazer, and she presented another image, and it kind of, in of itself, debunked the male stereotype that they wanted these, these certain, ultra feminine, these girly girl, da-da-da. No. Ask how many guys, if they vibe with Wonder Woman, okay? She is iconic, if for nothing else, to debunk for both males and females a lot of the myths and the stereotypes, the negative stereotypes for both sexes. She is one of the most important characters in fiction. Moving on. Number 6. Number 6 got this list because this is definitely personal, but I'm pretty sure it's not just that. From a female, obviously I'm not a female, duh. But she was very important. She's a very important, especially for a lot of girls, okay, young girls, and what she represents. Okay, total, you don't have to be ditzy, just intelligence. She was a pretty girl. She knew how to act. She was a problem solver. She recognized issues and she dealt with it. She had curiosity. She knew how to deal with even very dangerous situations. She was adventurous. She represented a lot of things, okay? Nancy Drew. This is a character. And Nancy Drew, here's on the person. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one of the reasons why you love mystery is because of this character. The mystery genre. Nancy Drew, for me, that was obviously a Hardy Boys. Classic. I love Hardy Boys, okay? You had Nancy Drew, Encyclopedia Brown. There were those 3 as kids' books, and then there was other stuff along the way. You got, of course, Agatha Christie and different ones that write mystery. Mystery is one of my top 5 favorite genres in fiction. Nancy Drew is a large part of it. And specifically Nancy Drew, because now this is where it comes personal. And my first real dealing, and this is when I forget how old I was, probably 7, 8. It'd probably be actually before my whole awakening and awareness of racism and a lot of other prejudices. when I look back at it. I mean, I notice things, but as far as a full-blown, full frontal, the sexism present, okay? Not on some gender, because people want to talk about gender. No, no, no. We're talking actual sex and sexism. I like mystery, and I didn't even think I tried to do a book report. And I was told that I could not do it, or I was dissuaded from it, or wasn't allowed, something along those lines of, and even others were trying to stop me from reading Nancy Drew. Wait a second. I mean, I recognize she was a female. That was a part of it, because you had these other male at the time. I don't remember there being that many females, and whatever. And here's a protagonist, mind you. Here's someone who brought a different side. Here's a boy who obviously doesn't really know much about females. Here's a female protagonist who seems like she actually has some sense. Sorry, Junie B. Jones fans, come on now, let's get it out of here. She's got some sense. Okay, she's in a ministry, which I was into. I'm like, yo, and the stories were seeming phenomenal. They were on the level of the Hardy Boys or near it. They were on that level. Not saying it was as good as the Hardy Boys, because the Hardy Boys was, but there were also two of them, so, and you got Jalopy Boy, I forget who Big Boy was, but anyways, you had Nancy Drew, and she was constantly being compared, and for good reason, okay? And I'm sitting here, and I'm like, and when I think about that helped impact the way I speak, the way I view females in different things, the way I even view, me as a male, and I'm like, why not? Why can't I as a male read and get into it? Why can't I enjoy, if people talk about enjoyment, why can't I see this other thing? Why is it that you have this division between males and females? Why is it that this is okay? I get it that this is great for females, but why is it that now I can't? It's just almost on the same sense, and this is I guess some personal stuff. So I guess you could say she's a personal icon for me. Is she on my top favorites list? No, but she was a symbol for me more than anything else. Not saying obviously I mentioned her intelligence and stuff, but for me personally, she was a symbol. When I look at it, it's like my dealings with when I was younger. Certain, when babies are around, wouldn't let me hold the baby, wouldn't let me touch it. It was like almost instantly, this is a woman's kind of thing. This is a female thing. And males, but then they expect males to know how to do stuff. But whatever. Women did this, women did that. Even though you see professional chefs and stuff, it's like in the kitchen. This is women do this, males don't really do this. Da-da-da. It's like, this is what women do, what males. And I'm like, what? It makes no sense. It made no sense to me. And in the same sense, I think Nancy Drew represented that side of me. She, this against the grain, against the norm, in front of all this, And then here's me as a male. It may be different from a female's perspective, whatever, And it ain't on some feminist stuff, but on some real everyday kind of thing. Nancy Drew rocked with me because, and like a lot of these characters, mind I add, okay, a lot of these female characters, she really went against the grain. And that made a heavy impression on me as a young individual and as a young man. And probably something that, thinking back, is what I like. And actually all these characters, now I look at it, shoot, all these characters, maybe Aizawa Mai, maybe she doesn't so much go against the grain. But the rest of these look like they go against the grain. And I think she was one of the major reasons for that. Moving on to the top 5, because this video is long as hell, but hell, y'all know how I get down. I'm thorough, I'm detailed for a lot of reasons. And also because I don't really do videos like this too much. Number 5, we're talking about Charlie. Okay, the series Revolution. If you've never seen Revolution, please watch that. I'm pissed that it got canceled for so many reasons. Oh my gosh, why the hell did it get canceled? It was my second favorite show on TV, right after Sons of Anarchy. Okay, right above the Blacklist. Revolution, man. Should have had a season 3. Still pissed. Part of it is because of Charlie. She didn't get her final characterization and character development. It was still evolving at a phenomenally rapid pace. Phenomenally rapid. I've never seen a female character evolve like Charlie did. So dynamic. in so many different ways. Now, here she starts off as the protagonist, and by season 2, she's not even the protagonist. We don't know who she is. I think it was her Uncle Miles, and also Uncle Miles, and then it seemed like Monroe kind of sort of took over the protagonist role. Which one actually was? Probably was Miles, but who knows? She was there, but she was an important. Back, you couldn't even bump her down to a secondary character. She was still that damn important. The thing about Charlie, man, when you think of a strong female, you look no further than that. That, if for nothing else, a strong-willed, intelligent female character. Charlie embodies that to a T. To a T from the jump. Stuff happened in life, she's like, okay. You know, she may get emotional for a bit, but she like, okay, we gonna deal with this. We gonna deal with this. Brother, I mean, I don't want to spoil, but brother, stuff that happens with a brother, she dealt with it. She dealt with it. Her relationship with her mom, it was like, yo, mom, you tripping. I don't rock with what you doing. I'm doing me. And not in a disrespectful manner. If you understand the series, you know why. Because her mom was on some other stuff. But she went head to head against her mom, who was a strong-willed woman. And Charlie like, nah, look, man. Nah, you ain't getting me. Nah, you ain't not controlling me. She wouldn't be controlled in a very positive manner. You also have to look at the world in which she lived. She adapted very well to the world in which she lived. Okay? In a world, pretty much post-apocalyptic world, not completely full-blown, but she dealt with the political, the intellect, you know, and the way she developed as a warrior, as a fighter, is truly pretty outstanding, to say the least. With no formal training or anything, she just kind of was a natural, you could say. The way she took the lead in many times, she also knew how to follow. She knew how to, you know, adapt to various situations, how to deal in various situations. Charlie, man. And then by the time you hit season 2, that's just season 1. Season 2, she becomes an entirely different person, seemingly. You know, after what happens at the end of season 1, no spoilers. Season 2, you start questioning her mindset and her choices. I know I was. Not even just the moral statement, but just who is she as a character? You know, with a choice in sexual relations, with a choice in relationships as a whole, with a choice on the life she now leads. You know, who are you? That's part of what pisses me off about them not continuing, because who really was Charlie? When I say she's probably one of the most dynamic characters I've ever come across, period. And just in 2 seasons, man. And again, she wasn't full-blown the protagonist. She wasn't always shown in episodes. But she was just that pivotal in the series, in the world, really. She made a huge difference. And without her, the series would have been good, don't get me wrong. The story in the world, phenomenal. But she forced so much stuff to happen. She impacted pretty much every character that is important in the series, even from a tertiary outward point. Charlie, man. Charlie's too much. Moving on to number 4. Here is a definite, what is she, a minor character? Yeah, she's not a side character, she's a minor character. Sometimes she seems to be secondary, but she's not really actually secondary. And for me to have a minor character on this list says a lot, okay? It really says a lot about the level in which she is. Because I think even Ozawa Ma she's a secondary character by the end of the series. But this character, man, this woman here, this is the kind of woman I would want to marry, kind of woman, okay? This woman here is strong. It's Mrs. Makinoichi. I forget her first name, but Mrs. Makinoichi, the mother of the protagonist of Hajime no Ippo, Makinoichi Ippo. Mrs. Makinoichi, man. So, brief backstory. Her husband dies when Ippo is young, okay? He's like 8 or whatever. And her husband had just got a fishing boat. And so she pretty much became an entrepreneur and took over for her husband. And Ippo helped out, but I mean, for years she was pretty much doing things by herself before Ippo, came of age. I mean, he would help out, but come on, there's not much a kid can do. But she would carry, in fishing, commercial fishing. For those who don't know, that is not an easy profession or trade. And all the sacrifices and the struggle she made over the years, and still is making. The advice she gives to Ippo, the kind of opening. She's funny too, man. She is one of the most comedic characters I come across. Really, actually funny. Her and People's best friend. Whatever. Used to be Bully. Her and him. Oh, the reaction, especially when Ippo was starting to potentially get girlfriends or whatever. It is funny stuff. Finally, or even she walks in on him, accidental porn situation. It was funny. He's like, she's really cool, but I mean, even her dealings with potential, like, I remember this one scene, there's like these 3 chicks who are all more or less attracted to Ippo, some more than others, but she kind of just says something and just shut down that whole situation, okay? She has a very level-headed, she gets serious when she needs to be, she's funny, she's attractive and whatnot, but her personality speaks volumes. And it reminds me of some of the best women I've ever known in my life. Some of the women I had mad respect for. She's intelligent as well, hardworking, a good mom, a really good mom. And there's more to her. Mrs. Makanouchi, man, every time, it just, I guess some emotions start to rise because she's not perfect, but when you think of a good woman, Mrs. Makanouchi is the kind that comes to mind, and she's a symbol of that, she's an embodiment of that, and she definitely had to make my list. Coming in at number 3, oh my goodness, this woman here, she's one of 2 that come from Kill la Kill, the series, that Kill la Kill greatness, okay? One of the 2 female characters that definitely had to make the list. She's my second favorite female character in the series. Well, second favorite character in the series. She's one of my, obviously, one of my favorite female characters. Probably one of my all-time favorite characters. I'm not even gonna lie. As far as villains, she's one of the greatest. Easily one of the greatest. You knew the series and the way she went up. There's just so much. When she changed the game as soon as she entered the series at like episode 12 or 13, game changed. Well, I mean, she showed up before, but game changed, partner. The stuff that she caused. Let me tell you, even though she's one of the most perverted, twisted, neurotic, psychotic, evil characters. I mean, some of the stuff, and the series, y'all know, if you at this point in this video, you know the series of Kill la Kill, y'all know what this woman does. This woman rides, but I absolutely love her as a kid. Oh my goodness. That woman there. One of my, I say top 2, well no, 3. Because you have Mrs. Makanouchi's like the 3rd, and then her. As far as a woman, even though she's the kind of woman that goes against the grain of everything I am, the kind of, she's psycho, will stab you in a heartbeat, no qualms. Other than her negative attributes, which are obvious. She is one of 2 women on this list that embodies femininity. That it is the essence of, at least from my perception, of a female. She is intelligent, obviously strong-willed, the charm, her charisma, my lord, her charisma, her grace, her beauty. Obviously, there's a physical attraction if you want to add that in, of course. Fashion. Let's see what else. She is hardworking to a degree. She's devoted. She's devout about what she follows on her principles, okay, and her convictions, as flawed as they may be. She is philosophical. I mean, she was dropping knowledge, bro. She was dropping some serious stuff. But she also does have a submissive side. okay, with the whole life fibers. Just keep that in mind. As strong as she was as a woman, there was that submissive side and that ability to follow as well as be a leader in the time, okay? And in her own sick, twisted way, she was a good mother. It's really weird. You have to know the series because as screwed up and as literally insane, it's beyond insane in what she does, specifically to Kiryu, Satsuki, and even to Mato Ryuko. Okay, I'm not gonna spoil what all happens. She does love them. It's really weird. Trying to explain it doesn't make any sense. It seems contradictory. Okay, it seems what's the word I'm looking for? Oxymoronic, but it's more paradoxical, I guess you could say. But yeah, man, there's more I could say, and I have said about Kira Nagio in the past and Kill la Kill videos. You can go check them out if you so wish to. But yeah, man, Kira, I even made a video specifically about her, and this was earlier, not when the series was done, but at the time. Hey, this woman here, man, that woman is the truth. Coming in at number 2, my favorite character in Kill la Kill, the greatest side character in fiction. That point I will argue to the end of days. There's some other phenomenal ones like Puck from Berserk. There's some other ones out there. Makan Shoko Mako. Okay, I was thinking too many different characters at one time. Makan Shoko Mako. Mako. I loved her from the beginning of the series. I really did. Yo, this wacky, comedic, knowledgeable, spontaneous, completely random at times. She just did what she wanted to do. Mako, I guess you could say she's cute or whatever, but the physical attraction is not even the focus. She's just crazy. She reminds me of some of my female friends. Just crazy, man. And I love it so much. Yo, she's wacky, she can be goofy, but she has multiple sides and multiple layers. If you just focus on the superficial, she just tells you there's more than meets the eye, not on some Transformer stuff, but literally there's more to her character than the external perceptions that one may superficially perceive. It's the truth. Mako, what all can, just trying to describe her would take too long. You know, I've went in depth with a lot of these characters, but just as the series progresses, Fight Club President Makan Shoko Mako. Yeah, Fight Club President. Yes, the strongest 2-star Goku uniform wearer you could throw hands with the 3 stars. And Mato Ryuko at times. You can argue. She gonna take some L's, but you can argue. Okay, she might pull out a W if she good enough. Yo, she is crazy, and she was a no star. She had the damsel in distress, but she showed dedication, hard work when she became the Fight Club president. She was ride or die, loyal to game. But then I remember in Osaka, she just went off on some random trade. I loved it. Others may have not liked it, but I personally loved it. Okay, on some other stuff, it brought other flair and stuff to the series. Her cultural game, and whatever, her relationship with Ryuko. Let's keep it real. Ryuko would not have been as good of a character. She would have been a decent character without Mako. Mako helped put Ryuko in perspective. Mako helped bring back Ryuko multiple times mentally. Mako was as wild and wacky and crazy as she is, sometimes seemingly insane as she is. She was able to ground the completely neurotic. Now I know, Charles, if you're watching this, I know that's your girl, but keeping it real, Ryuko was completely neurotic and sometimes stupid. She was, and so Ryuko was on some other stuff. Sometimes she just I like the character, but sometimes she just pissed me off. She really did. But Mako kept everything, kept it real. Mako was always there when things needed the most. Mako put in that work. You could always count on Mako. That was the key thing. Okay, she went from seemingly this less character to one of the most important characters easily in the entire series. She definitely had to be on this list. And coming in at number one, those who know me know what time it is, man. Shouldn't even need to question who my favorite female character of all time is. It's my woman, man. My woman, dog. This woman, and I mentioned Ragyo, embodying the essence of femininity. Easily this woman does. This woman, she only, from my perspective so far, at least I haven't read the books, but from the series, one mistake. Just one. And all that she's had to go through and had to learn in a relatively short time. Mind you, this is a young, very young woman, and we're using that liberally, okay? Very young woman. And the leadership and the role she's ousted in, and how she had to learn to become a woman. And then there's the sensuality, sexuality, but more than that, just how to control herself. She's mainly been on point mentally, emotionally, you can argue spiritually, physically. She's been on point, and is none other than Daenerys Stormborn, or aka Daenerys Targaryen, from that Game of Thrones greatness. Daenerys Stormborn, man, yo, what makes her, for example, beautiful? It clearly is the personality, the way she conducts herself, the way she thinks. She be 2-3 steps ahead. I mentioned she only made one mistake, and this isn't a spoiler. For those who gonna be caught up in the series, the only mistake she had was letting go of Homeboy, the dude that was by her side the whole time. I forget his name. This is the only mistake she's made. I mean, the way she's conducted herself in the taking over city. As Khaleesi, the mother of dragons, and all she has to do, she's been ousted out of her land. Last I remember, I think. No, she's not the last Targaryen. Her and her brother, but her brother should be dead. But anyways, she's one of the last of her family. Okay, she's had assassins come after her. I mean, she's been saved, but still, she's had assassins come after her. I mean, the way she just came in and took over the game, East, and her morals, okay, her views of people. It's completely antagonistic, let's say, Cersei Lannister, okay? The contrast is night and day, for the most part. And just how she conducts herself, for the most part. It's almost like she's one Daenerys that doesn't even belong in this world. And the thing is, like Charlie, which I mentioned earlier, she adapted so very well to the world. She's adapted, and she's become everything that she's needed to, depending on the situation at hand. And that's a bit different from any other character on the list. Her adaptation, or her development, her dynamic nature is incredible. And even as a male, as a man, just looking at the way she handles herself, it impacts me. It makes me question the way I handle myself. Okay? It makes me question some of the decisions I make. How would I act in this situation? What would I do? Da da da. And those are the best things. When you think, when a character truly causes you to think about your choices, your morals, your actions, your decisions, your philosophy, your perspectives on life, your ideologies and whatever else, that character has now transcended. Okay? And not just, asking the basic questions, asking the real life questions. Or in her case, she living it poses those questions. And then there's more to her character, but I've talked about her in the past. I can talk about her all day. That's the thing, man. Daenerys Stormborn is my favorite female character of all time. I don't think that's gonna change anytime soon. Maybe never. But she just, for me, she's so much of what I look for in a woman. Not perfect, but there is no perfection. But just so much about her. And the fact that she's so young, and I don't use that phrase often, but for her specifically, unlike Cersei, who's like in her 40s now, the fact that she gets it so well at this age, and that she goes against so much, and is about freedom, equality, justice, which all are huge about me. All are huge on me. Sometimes truth, she sometimes acts a little rash, a little immature, but I'll let her slide because she is young. She's trying to figure this thing out. She didn't have a teacher. I mean, she has advisors, but then she has multiple advisors. She also listens to guidance and counsel and wisdom. Sometimes she doesn't go with it, but sometimes she does, as a homegirl told her that one time, saying sometimes you not listening to people was the best decision you made. Sometimes you do listen to people. You listen to the various perspectives, and that's what I rock with, man. That's what I rock with. Unexpected Woman, like, comment, subscribe. I know this video was as long as a mug, but I wanted to go into detail about why these various female characters were my favorite. And yeah, y'all. Till next time, have a beautiful day, beautiful night, peace, and please do tell me what's your list? What's your top 10 of female characters, and why, if you don't mind telling me why they are. You know what you say? Oh, cause she's hot. I mean, that could be, but as you can see, I consider quite a few of these, if not all of them, as attractive. But still, there's more depth to these characters.